All right, today we're going to be looking at a couple of stocks, and we're going to be spending some time looking at OTRK because this is a stock that I had initially called in our community in the 320s to 350s range, as I saw that there was this demand zone before this bigger breakout here. OTRK was up on Form 4 news. It had a breakout above its pre-market level here, went up to 550s, and then came back down. So I was looking for it, and I took this trade. And even though this stock was already, coming back down into a support area, it cratered through this. So, initially it was a larger loss. It was one of those that for me, I decided I'm not going to trade the rest of the day because I don't want to develop revenge trading habits. I don't want to make potentially even more costly decisions. Instead, I want to go ahead and look at how can I refine this strategy to do better in the future. And after looking at it on this 5-minute chart, I noticed something. One, while there was this demand zone here, there was another one down here. In fact, there was a lot more consolidation, and there was a much bigger volume driven engulfing candle over this area between low threes and 290s. What I also liked looking at was to see if there was a better analysis of the trade on a higher time frame. So typically I like looking anywhere between the 5-minute and the 1 hour, and the 15-minute, if I can find demand zones in this area, that's going to be a better signal for me and more data driven than a 5-minute chart where I'm also getting this demand zone here. So after looking at it on the 15-minute chart, I noticed we have much more room in this range, and in fact it came back down to this level, maybe just a penny below 293, and made a move up to 330s. So it was over a 10% trade here by just being a little bit more patient. So my lesson moving forward, and one that I would like to share with you, is that even if you spot a 5-minute demand zone and you're trading this style, can you find something that's even better? That, if we look at it, has much more of an engulfing candle, 2 of them actually on this 15-minute chart, than just this one. And you'll get better results and lower entries. Now, let's take a look at another example, because I also spotted this on AMBO, which was running yesterday. It was a combination of a pump plus there were news. To me, the news didn't justify it going up all the way to this range because it's got a market cap of $9 million, and it was like a $1.3 million contract licensing agreement. So, it was definitely social media that boosted this one. But I was noticing this yesterday. I'm always interested when I see stocks that are making these huge moves, especially in after hours, because typically we'll see some sort of move back down into an area of support, and then looking for additional ways that we can trade it. So I noticed on the 5-minute chart here, there was a zone in the 390s to the 360 range. However, if we played that, and I didn't take this one, but I was eyeing it, that would have just cratered right through this. Did not even bounce in this area. Then there's another demand zone here, we could argue. Let's just delete this one. And we'll draw a new zone here. We see this 344 down to 328. It has a little bit of a move in here from 330s up to 350s. It's kind of small. And then we also have this area here. Keep in mind, still the 5-minute, so we're not really getting a clear signal right now. And say we have this range here. You could argue if we wanted to draw it up to here, but we still aren't getting anything. So rather than trying to play guessing games and just drawing all these demand zones, you can instead look at the 15-minute chart. See what we find. We see consolidation over here in this range before big breakout. 2 significant green candles after this one. So, and although the wick of this candle is higher, it actually closes lower than the body of this one. So we still like that as a trade. So, for here, because we are playing 15-minute demand zone, we could draw it, even down to like 283. Say we were to do it just in the range of where this. All right, let me just get out of this for a second. Okay, Weeble's freaking out a little bit. Maybe we want to give ourselves a little bit more range. Could say, okay, could come down all the way down to 3s or even test this range. I think it's important that when we're setting up these zones, we got to keep in mind, how much room do we want? Because this is now, over 12% almost. I typically like to see my ranges in about a 7 to 8% area, but what you can do instead is look at just having less shares and laddering your bids lower as you go down so that you come out with a higher average. So, we can also see there's this red candle over here and it closes right here, and then we can take that down here. You could even say where this red candle is, where that wick's below, and then you could have your stop or limit sell if it closes underneath the green candle, however you want to set it up. But we did have an order come in this hit 312 and then consolidated above this range, which is healthy for this, and then it made a move up to $5 just a few hours later. So there was also very big trade potential here. I think it was a 63% move. And these are the kind of ones that we want to look for because, even if you're playing with a higher range here, you're able to get a stock at the lowest potential price point before it's going to make that move higher. And you want to just capture that. Even if you were to, take some buys and sells in this zone, that's still giving you about 6 to 7% of room to trade. And then you can start trimming off, and then you can hold some higher if you see that we're making higher lows here, and then the stock just completely goes nuclear here, back into this range. So we can be looking at what was previously these red candles kind of wicking down as support. Now that actually can serve as our resistance point. I'm really considering selling in this range because this old support now becomes new resistance. This previous resistance became support, so we're just playing the demand and support in this range. So I hope that's helpful. Those are some better ideas on how to trade. Just remember, if you are either taking the ideas that I presented or you are trying to create and come up with a strategy for demand zone trading, even if you feel really confident by what you see on a 5-minute chart, always check on higher time frames, because you are going to over time increase your confidence in the trade that you are taking, and also ensuring you're taking these trades based on stocks that have had good news or that have a reason to run. One thing I don't like applying these demand zones to are these like sub penny stocks. If we were to take a look at, I think it was AGRI today, we could argue that even on a 15-minute chart, there's a demand zone here, and this was just a random pump, no news. But even underneath here, it closed underneath. So we don't have enough data. These are like the classic pump and dumps, usually run by other Discords or people on X or something. It's artificial volume. So applying the strategy to stocks that have a reason to run based on news, price action, volume. We like to look at, does it have a good market cap or float? However, that's not always going to give the clearest indication. We could see yesterday MYTE has a free float market cap of 138 million and a free float of almost 20 million. It's a little bit bigger in size. However, this had awesome news. It was a 555 million euro cash deal for a multi-brand luxury group So this was a stock that I was really in love with yesterday. Saw some good moves on it. In fact, this one, this was a much bigger tail on its demand zone. This is a long wick on the 15-minute chart. So I was also looking at it on the 5-minute chart to see if I could get different data. And I was able to actually take some trades on this in like the lower fives all the way down 483, 470s, and then it made a move up to here, which I was scaling out in the 550s. So there's amazing traders. Really, it's if you want to look for the best stocks, in my opinion, finding, does it have news, does it have a catalyst, does it have volume, and the news will justify or not justify the market cap and the float that it has. So just be very, very discerning. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you find this helpful. And if you have been taking losses consistently and you're trying to turn things around, let me know. Send me a message. I love working with traders on helping them overcome these hurdles. As you can see, I took these losses and they are immediately fuel for how can I do better next time. This isn't, let me get down on myself, the market's out to get me, all this kind of chatter that is negative. No, this is an opportunity for learning, for overcoming, for being resilient, and for being stronger the next time. So I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have a very, very good trading session and week ahead.